Okay, so we will be discussing yung ating problem set for SGD 8, 9, and 10, which deals with all of the modules respiratory physiology 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so admittedly, this is a very difficult topic, very mathematical. Dito talaga magagamit yung natutuhan niya sa NMAT, especially sa problem solving and sa data analysis. Kasi this is all about graphs and analysis of numbers. Not so much about sa formulas, but kung paano nyo i-interpret kung mataas ba, mababa, kung nag-right shift o kung nag-left shift. So, yun talaga yung pinaka-importante dito. Okay. So, we have here JD, 35-year-old male admitted because of dyspnea. So, dyspnea is what? This is shortness of breath. Okay, for the past 1 week. So, hirap siya huminga. So, his salient features pertinent to the problem set are as follows. So, respiratory rate niya is 28 cycles per minute. So, that's takip niya, meaning very high respiratory rate. Kasi ang normal value natin is 12 to 20 cycles per minute. So, 12 to 20 breaths per minute. So, kanya 28. So, mabilis yung paghinga niya. We also have normal blood pressure na 120 over 80. Although sabi ni Doc Willie kanina, ano na daw to? Pre-hypertension na daw to. Okay. So, dapat less than 120 over less than 80. Pero sige. Hemoglobin is normal, 15 gram per deciliter. ABG. Okay, so this is our arterial blood gas. So we have 7.30 na pH. This is acidic. And kasi ang normal value natin is 7.35 to 7.45. Ang partial pressure ng carbon dioxide natin is 50. So this is high kasi ang normal value is 35 to malito. Dapat 35 to 45. Okay? And ang bicarbonate natin is low, 20 lang, millimoles per liter kasi ang normal value is 22 to 26. So for those of you, especially sa ating mga nurses and sa ating mga respiratory therapists, you know that this is combined acidosis. Kasi acidosis siya kasi less than normal value yung pH, so acidic. And combined siya kasi we have respiratory acidosis, mataas yung carbon dioxide, 50, dapat 35 to 45, tas mababa yung bicarbonate. So dapat 22 to 26. So this is respiratory acidosis and we have here metabolic acidosis. Both of them sabay. So this is combined acidosis. Okay. So we also have ano to? Partial pressure ng oxygen of 40. So this is very low, dapat 80 to 100. Oxygen saturation is also very low, 60%, dapat greater than 92%. Cardiac output is ano to? Parang normal lang. 6 liters per minute. Itong blood lactate ang medyo mataas. Or mataas na mataas, that's 4 millimoles per liter, dapat 0.5 to 1.2. So later on, discuss natin bakit naging ganyan. And then chest x-ray shows right massive pleural effusion. Ano ibig sabihin yan? Di ba ito yung lungs? Tapos merong pleura, okay, na that covers it. Ibig sabihin may pleural effusion, ibig sabihin may fluid dito. And kung may fluid dyan, hindi makaka-expand yung lungs, mahirapan mag-expand yung lungs. Okay? That's pleural effusion. And it compresses pa nga eh. It compresses pa yung lungs pa loob. Okay? So here is our problem number 1. So sabi dyan, compute for the oxygen content of JD's arterial blood. Is it high, normal, or low? So di ba yung oxygen content, okay, that's primarily formed by kung gaano karami yung oxygen dissolved in plasma. So that's, di ba, ang formula natin, that's 0.003 times the PaO2, di ba? Tapos, primarily kasi yung oxygen natin is not in the plasma but carried by hemoglobin. Diba? So we add natin yung 1.34 times yung hemoglobin natin times the saturation ng hemoglobin. Diba? Yan. So, kayo na bahala mag-calculate. So, yan yung oxygen content. Diba? So, dissolved in plasma, tsaka bound to hemoglobin. Tama? Next is yung oxygen delivery. So yes, mayroong ang lamang oxygen. Meron ng lamang oxygen yung blood natin, nade-deliver ba siya sa tissue? So paano siya made-deliver sa tissue? It needs to be pumped by the heart. 'Di ba? So cardiac output yan. So I think, for oxygen delivery, you just multiply your oxygen content by your cardiac output. Okay? And then, ang tanong, is there hypoxemia and or hypoxia? So, we know naman yung difference nito, di ba? Pag hypoxemia, pag may emia, ibig sabihin it's low in the blood. So, low oxygen in the blood. Kapag hypoxia, ibig sabihin low oxygen delivery to the tissue. Okay? Pwede kasing normal naman yung oxygen sa blood. So, non-hypoxemic siya. Pero hindi nakakarating yung oxygen na yon sa tissues. So, non-hypoxemic hypoxia. So, pwede rin namang sabay, low talaga yung oxygen mo in the blood. Tapos, syempre, low din yung makakarating sa tissue. So, both hypoxemic and hypoxic. Okay? Ito, why is there high blood lactate? So, di ba, since hindi nga enough yung oxygen na pupunta sa ating mga tissues, hindi makapag-perform properly ng oxidative phosphorylation yung mitochondria. 'Di ba? Kung hindi makapag-perform ng oxidative phosphorylation yung mitochondria, hindi gagana yung electron transport chain, hindi makapag-produce ng energy. So, saan magre-resort yung cell para makapag-produce pa rin siya ng energy? So, kung wala yung electron transport chain, it will resort to glycolysis. Tama? So, ang byproduct ng glycolysis, 'di ba? After glycolysis, pyruvate is the lactate or lactic acid. 'Di ba? So, kaya mataas yung lactic acid niya kanina. So, puro glycolysis lang siya, puro anaerobic respiration lang yung ginagawa niya. Okay? And then this one is yung very famous oxygen dissociation curve. So I think na-discuss na natin to nung lab. 'Di ba? We know that kapag right shift, kapag nag-shift to the right, yung oxygen dissociation curve, ibig sabihin mas gustong ibigay ng oxygen ng hemoglobin yung oxygen sa tissues. 'Di ba? So decreased affinity of yung hemoglobin to the oxygen. Tama, ayan, decreased affinity. Ibig sabihin, mas gustong ibigay ng hemoglobin yung oxygen sa tissues. And wag nyo na i-memorize to, isipin nyo lang kung anong nangyayari kapag exercise. Kapag exercise, syempre, mas gusto ng tissues natin ng oxygen. And gustong ibigay ng hemoglobin yung oxygen sa ating tissues. Eh kapag exercise, syempre, tumataas temperature natin. Tumataas yung metabolism, so magkakaroon ng mataas na carbon dioxide. Also, another product of metabolism sa glycolysis ng red blood cell is your 2,3-DPG. Pero bakit bumababa yung pH? Kasi nagiging mas acidic. 'Di ba? So, yan. So, right shift, decreased affinity ng hemoglobin, mas ibibigay niya yung oxygen sa tissue. Kapag naman left shift, baliktad. So, baliktad lang lahat ng parameters, tapos mas gusto rin kunin ng hemoglobin yung oxygen. 'Di ba? So, this happens low temperature, low CO2, low 2,3-DPG. So, increased affinity of your hemoglobin to oxygen. Okay? So, in correlation with the figure, if the oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve of JD is normal, what is the expected SaO2? Is JD's actual SaO2 normal? Explain. So, kung normal daw yung oxygen dissociation curve, so dapat, kung ito yung normal curve, di ba? Tapos, sabihin natin 40 mmHg, dapat ang oxygen saturation niya is around, ano to? Mga 75, 78. 'Di ba? Kaso sa case, ilan lang? 60% lang. So that's low. 'Di ba? Sa pag 40. Tapos, pili pa tayo ng ibang point. Sabihin natin at 60. Okay. Dapat dito, around 90. Kapag 60 mmHg, dapat 90% yung saturation. Pero kapag right shifted siya, delete muna natin lahat. Kapag right shifted siya, so ito yun, itong dotted line na to, dito lang, mga around 82 lang. Okay, so mas mababa yung oxygen saturation. Okay? Sige. So for question number 2, wait, di ko makita. Yan. Sabi, what determines lung elastance or compliance? So these are opposite terms. So compliance muna tayo. So pag sinabi natin kasing compliance, ibig sabihin yan, compliant, ibig sabihin sumusunod. Okay, sumusunod yung pag-expand ng lungs sa flow ng air. So kapag nag-inhale ako ng air, sumusunod yung lungs, mabilis siya mag-expand. Okay? So, ang formula kasi nito is change in volume over change in pressure. Ibig sabihin natin na constant yung pressure. Ibig sabihin, kapag mataas ang compliance ko, mas mabilis kong nai-increase yung volume ng aking lungs. Okay? In comparison, kapag mababa ang compliance ko, ibig sabihin, kahit gaano kataas na pressure yung i-apply ko, okay, konti lang yung magiging pag-expand ng lungs ko. Hirap siyang mag-expand. Hindi siya compliant. Tingnan natin tong graph na to. Di ba sabi natin, kapag nag-shift tayo to the right, mas kailangan natin ng value sa x-axis, dagdagan natin yung value sa x-axis to have the same value sa y-axis. Ibig sabihin, kailangan natin ng mas mataas na trans-lung pressure, okay? Mas mataas na pressure sa ating lungs just to be able to expand my lungs to the same value. So for example, sabi natin, 2 liters. Sabi natin gusto kong lagyan ng 2 liters of air yung lungs ko. Tingnan nyo. Kapag normal yung lungs ko at compliant yung lungs ko, kailangan ko lang ng ayan, mga 9 trans-lung pressure, 9 centimeter of water to get 2 liters of volume. Okay, 2 liters of volume sa aking lungs. So, konti lang, konting pressure lang. Madali siyang mag-expand, compliant siya. In comparison, kapag fibrotic yung lung ko, ibig sabihin maraming ah, fibrous bands na nag-form, ibig sabihin, sobrang hirap niyang mag-expand. To have the same 2 liters of volume sa aking lungs, I need to have higher pressure. I need to exert higher pressure. Mas mahirap, okay, just to have the same amount of volume. Okay, so this one, fibrosis, has less compliance. Okay? Meanwhile, itong emphysema, okay, ano ba nangyayari sa emphysema? Kung ito yung normal alveoli ko, wait, mali. Kung ito yung normal alveoli ko, yan o, para siyang, kasi ito yung bronchioles ko. Mataas yung surface area ng alveoli ko for gas exchange. Ayan o, normal pa yung mga air sacs ko. Pero kapag naging ganito na siya, nawala yung divisions between my alveolar sacs, and naging isang malaking parang sac na lang sila, hindi na sila maliliit na alveoli, ang nangyari tuloy is, hindi na makapag-recoil pabalik yung lungs. Hindi na siya makapag-recoil pabalik, nasisira yung fibrous tissue, so opposite siya ng fibrosis. Ibig sabihin, mas madali ko tong ma-expand with air. Okay, mas madali ko siyang ma-expand with air, kaya less yung compliance ko sa emphysema. Konti na lang yung elastic pressure pabalik. I can easily expand this. Okay, mahirap nga lang i-exhale. Okay, ibig sabihin nun, madali ko siyang ma-expand. Even at low amount of pressure, I can easily expand my lungs kapag may emphysema ako. This has more compliance. Okay? Paano naman elastance? Ang elastance is baliktad. Ang elastance is change in pressure over change in volume. Okay? Ibig sabihin niyan, baliktad. The less compliant I am, the more elastic, ibig sabihin yung lungs ko. For example, itong fibrosis, less compliant siya, mahirap i-expand. Pero more elastic. Ibig sabihin, mas gusto ng lungs ko na mag-collapse kaysa mag-expand. Okay? Kapag naman emphysema, more compliance ako, pero less ang aking elastance. So madali ko nga siyang ma-expand. Hindi ko naman ma-expel yung air. Hindi ko naman mabalik yung lungs ko to a smaller size para ma-exhale ko sana yung air. Okay, so yan yung nangyayari during emphysema. So baliktaran lang sila. So ano yung nagde-determine itong elastance? Di ba yung elastance natin is yung recoil ng lungs natin. So, yung the tendency of the lungs to collapse. So, this is brought about by, number one, your elastic tissue sa lungs. So, yung elastic tissue sa lungs, di ba imagine nyo yung sinabi ni Boss AG kahapon, di ba yung rubber band, pag stretch mo, pag binitawan mo, kusa siyang babalik. So parang ganoon din yung lungs. Kapag in-stretch mo yung lung, nag-inhale ka, kusa na yung babalik kapag nag-exhale ka, you don't need to use any energy. 'Di ba? Kasi para siyang rubber band na gustong bumalik sa original size niya, elastic. It wants to return to its normal configuration. Yung elastic tissue sa lungs gustong i-compress ulit yung lungs to its normal size para i-return siya sa kanyang normal size. So elastic tissue sa lungs, yan yun, parang rubber band. And number two is yung surface tension. Kasi, di ba, merong water, yung ating lungs, tapos yung water na yon has high surface tension. Gusto nila magdikit, and that water dun sa alveoli ng ating lungs, gusto nila magdikit, and that would collapse the lungs. Kung wala tayong surfactant. So, kaya nga siya tinawag na surfactant. So, dun sa surfactant, anti-surface tension siya. So, yan yung nagpe-prevent sa pag-collapse ng ating lungs. Kasi, ito, kunwari, drawing natin. Kung ito yung alveoli, tas may mga water molecules dyan, yung surface tension ng mga water molecules na yan, gustong i-collapse yung lungs. So, gustong paganyanin. Gustong magdikit ng water molecules, gusto nila i-collapse yung alveoli. Pero dahil hindi nangyayari to, dahil meron tayong surfactant. Okay? So, yan yung two determinants ng ating elastance. Okay? So, na-discuss na natin itong figure na to. Is the pressure volume curve of the patient shifted to the left or right? So, di ba sabi natin, meron siyang, so ito yung lungs, ito yung pleura, may tubig dito. Meron siyang pleural effusion. So, ano ibig sabihin nun? Hirap ba siyang i-expand yung lungs? O madali lang i-expand yung lungs? Kung madali lang i-expand yung lungs, edi more compliance, left shift. Pero kung hirap siyang i-expand yung lungs niya, that's less compliance, that is right shift, parang fibrosis. So here, kung may pleural effusion ka, so may tubig dito sa pleural space putting pressure on the lungs, mas mahirap i-expand. Tama? So that would mean that the pressure volume curve is probably shifted to the right. Okay? Okay, this is the hardest one out of all. So skip ko muna to. This is a very difficult figure to analyze. This is work of breathing. I think si Dr. King nag-discuss nito. So I'll save that for later. Ito muna tayo. So interpret the results of the two spirometry tests below. So don't panic. Ang ibig sabihin lang nito is, sige, FEV1 tsaka FVC muna tayo. So FEV1, okay? So I think this means forced expiratory volume in 1 second. So again, this is expiratory volume in 1 second. So, pag pinares ako daw i-exhale lahat ng air na nasa aking lungs, in 1 second, gano'n daw karami yun. That's FEV1. Ngayon, yung FVC naman, is forced vital capacity. Vital capacity. So recall natin, ano ba yung vital capacity sa lung volume? So kung ito yung tidal volume natin, normal breathing, pwede pa akong, so ito yung normal tidal volume ko for inhalation, di ba pwede pa akong mag-inhale? Kasi meron pa akong, inspiratory reserve volume. Tama? So ito, tidal volume to, tapos yung dagdag ko sa inhalation ko is my inspiratory reserve volume. Tama? Then, kapag in-exhale ko yung lahat, up to baseline, di ba? Kahit nasa baseline na ako, I can still expel some more air forcefully. Tama? So, anong tawag dito? Kung ito ay inspiratory reserve volume, this is by expiratory reserve volume. Then we know there's a volume of the lungs na hindi talaga natin ini-expel. This is our residual volume. Kung wala yung residual volume, that would collapse the entire lung. Kasi kailangan natin ng air na yan para hindi mag-collapse yung lungs natin. Okay? So, yan yung part ng total lung capacity na hindi natin nakokontrol yung residual volume. Nandyan lang yan lagi para hindi mag-collapse yung lungs. Itong inspiratory reserve volume kapag forcefully tayo nag-inhale, then expiratory reserve volume kapag forcefully tayo nag-exhale below the baseline. Okay? So itong lahat ng yan na kaya natin kontrolin, this is our vital capacity. In other words, my vital capacity is the maximum amount of air I can exhale after maximum inspiration. Ulit, my vital capacity is the total amount of air I can exhale after maximal inhalation. Tama? Okay, so yan yung forced vital capacity. Pupwersahin ko daw, forced. Puwersa. Pupuwersahin ko ilabas lahat ng air na in-inhale ko. So, maximal exhalation after maximal inhalation. Okay. So, now, balikan na natin yung mga values dito sa ating table. So, LLN, ang sinasabi lang yan is lower limit of normal. ULN is upper limit of normal. So, para lang siyang range, 74.4 to 93.5. Parang ganon. Ito yung predicted sa normal person, dapat ganyan yung value. This one is pre and this is post. Ibig sabihin, this is pre-administration of a bronchodilator and this is post-administration of a bronchodilator. Meaning, bago ako mag-administer ng bronchodilator, mineasure ko muna, tapos kapag nag-administer ako ng bronchodilator, measure ko ulit para malaman kung ang pathology ba talaga is maliit na airways. Diba? Kaya, binronchodilate ko. Okay? So, ang kailangan natin makuha dito is our FEV1 over FVC ratio. Now, para madali natin itong matandaan, okay, ang iniisip ko lang dito is this is just exhale over inhale. Kung may problem ka sa pag-exhale ng something, ng air, kung may problem ka sa pag-exhale ng air, okay, bababa yung FEV1 mo. Kung may problem ka sa pag-inhale ng air, bababa yung FVC mo. Okay? Kasi sabi natin, di ba, yung FVC is the maximum amount that I can exhale after maximum inhalation. So, syempre, maapektuhan din yung amount na may exhale ko kung konti lang din yung na-inhale ko. Di ba? Nakadepende yung maximum amount of exhalation ko sa maximum amount na na-inhale ko. Okay? Sige. So, meron kasi tayong tinatawag na obstructive diseases and meron tayong tinatawag na restrictive diseases. Pag sinabi nating obstructive lung diseases, okay, bigay tayo ng prototypical example. Let's say, nakalunok ka ng peanut. So, may nag-block na peanut dito. May obstruction. Okay. Kung may obstruction sa airway, sa tingin nyo, saan mas maapektuhan ang FEV1 over FVC ratio? Sa pag-exhale ba o sa pag-inhale? Okay. Imagine nyo, kapag may barado dyan, nag-choke kayo sa peanut, tapos nagbumara dito sa airway yung peanut, so narrowed yung airway. Kapag nag-inhale ka, so lalapad yung airway, di ba? So magiging ganyan siya. Andiyan pa rin yung peanut, let's say na-stuck siya dyan. Andiyan pa rin yung peanut, okay? Ito yung airway, ito. So pinalaki ko siya nung nag-inhale ako. This is inhale. Andiyan pa rin yung peanut, pero since nag-inhale ako, napalaki ko pa rin yung airway ko, okay? There's little problem when it comes to my FVC. That's my inhalation. There's little problem with my inhalation. There's little problem with my FVC. So, lagay natin dito, my FVC is normal. Or slightly decreased lang. Sige, pero sabihin mo natin normal. Kasi kaya naman, kahit may bara dyan, kaya ko naman expand yung airway ko para makapasok yung air. Pero what happens kapag nag-exhale ako? Kapag nag-exhale ako, ano mangyayari sa airways ko? Diba? It narrows. So magiging ganito siya. Pag na-narrow, pabalik yung airway ko. So this is exhale. Tapos, yung peanut, nandiyan pa rin, di ba? Siyempre, hindi naman na-dislodge yung peanut, nandiyan pa rin. Pero pag nung nag-exhale ako, siyempre, pinaliit ko yung lungs ko, pinaliit ko rin yung airways ko. Sa tingin nyo ba, makakalabas pa yung air dyan? Makakalabas pa ba yung air? Hindi na. Kasi, bukod sa may obstruction ako, pinaliit ko pa yung airway ko dahil nag-exhale ako. That must mean na the amount that I would be able to exhale would be low. That means my FEV1 would be low. So kung ang FEV1 ko is low and my FVC is normal, my FEV1 over FVC ratio would be low. Okay? So this is a characteristic of obstructive lung diseases. My FEV1 over FVC ratio is low. Okay? Paano ngayon kapag restrictive? Ano bang example na? Kasi fibrosis na lang kanina. Ay, yung ano na lang, yung case lang natin, pleural effusion. So this is my lung. Sabihin natin, yan, pleura, tapos may tubig. Ang sabi natin, hirap akong i-expand yung lung kasi mababa yung compliance kasi there's pressure from the fluid sa aking pleural effusion. So anong maapektuhan sa aking FEV1 over FVC ratio? So primarily inhalation, di ba? That would mean my FVC would be low. Kung mababa yung FVC ko, dahil hirap akong mag-inhale, hindi nakapasok yung air, what do you think would happen sa aking FEV1 as well? So, probably, this would also be low or normal. Sige, sabihin natin low. Kasi konti lang, low yung ma-exhale ko kasi low lang din yung na-inhale ko. Or pwedeng normal lang kasi hindi naman exhalation yung problem natin, inhalation yung problem natin. So, low or normal. Okay. So, we have 10 minutes daw. So, kung FEV1 over FVC ratio ko is low or normal over low, kunin mo natin tong low over low. Kung low over low, that would mean my FEV1 over FVC ratio is, teka, baguhin ko yung colors. So this one would be either normal, kasi low over low, so normal. Or kung normal over low, so low yung denominator ko. Kung low yung denominator ko, therefore my ratio would be high. So normal or high. Therefore, a characteristic of restrictive diseases, okay? Characteristic of restrictive diseases is a normal or high FEV1 over FVC ratio. Okay? So ano bang examples nitong obstructive diseases natin? COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Asthma, di ba sa asthma nagnanarrow yung airway so hindi makalabas. So obstructive. And ayan, no, yung choking, di ba? Obstructive yan. By the way, under COPD, di ba we have two, chronic bronchitis and emphysema. O di ba na-discuss na natin yung emphysema? Wala tayong problem sa inhalation. Pero hirap tayong i-exhale yung air. Kung hirap tayo i-exhale yung air, di ba obstructive yon? Bakit tayo hirap i-exhale yung air? Kasi nawala na nga yung fibrotic tissue ng lungs ko. Yun yung problema sa emphysema, the fibrous tissue. The elastic tissue in my lungs gets destroyed in emphysema. So hindi ko ma-exhale yung air. Kaya inhale lang ako ng inhales. I have high compliance. Diba? Pero hirap akong i-exhale. That's why I have low FEV1 over FVC ratio. Sa restrictive, we have a mnemonic here. So this is paint for restrictive diseases. P stands for plural. For example, pleural effusion. We also have A for alveolar. Sabihin natin, ano ba? Edema, may tubig. Yung alveoli, makapag-expand ba yun? Siyempre hindi, mahirapan siyang expand. Ang taas ng surface tension mo, hindi na kayang talunin ng surfactant. Ano pa? I, interstitial. O yan, sinabi natin, fibrosis. Sobrang dami mong fibrous tissue sa interstitial space, sobrang dami mong elastic tissue. So, fibrosis. Sobrang dami mong fibrous tissue. Hirap mag-expand. Sobrang gusto niyang mag-collapse. Kasi parang rubber band, sobrang parang, imagine mo, meron ka 100 rubber band. Gusto lahat mag-collapse. Diba? Ganyan ang nangyayari sa pulmonary fibrosis. Hirap kang i-expand. Okay? How about N? That's for neuromuscular. Neuromuscular. Let's say MG. What's MG? Myasthenia gravis. Diba? Hirap kang kontrolin yung, hirap dumaan yung acetylcholine, diba? From your phrenic nerve to your diaphragm. So, ano mangyayari doon? Hindi mo makokontrol yung contraction ng diaphragm, hindi makakapag-expand yung lungs. Diba? Oh, that's neuromuscular. Kapag T, hindi na kasya. Letter T stands for thoracic. So, ibig sabihin lang nito, thoracic cage, for example, obesity. Kung obesity, edi there's a large amount of visceral fat, so hirap mag-expand. Yun lang, kasi may, di ba, may visceral fat. So, hirap i-expand yung lungs, so mahirap mag-inhale. Okay, so kung hirap kang mag-inhale, again, that's a characteristic of your restrictive. So, yan, obesity, for example. Okay, so again, to reiterate, ganito ko siya tinatandaan, FEV1 over FVC ratio, sa numerator, FEV1, that's exhalation. FVC sa denominator, that's inhalation. If I have a problem with exhalation, that's obstructive, that means my FEV1 will be low. I have low FEV1 over FVC ratio. Okay? Kapag naman restrictive, I have a problem inhaling air. I cannot expand my lungs. Therefore, this will be low. Therefore, the entire ratio will either be high or kung mababa din to, it will be normal. And that's a characteristic of your paint. Pleural effusion, hindi mo ma-expand kasi may tubig. Edema, hindi mo ma-expand kasi may tubig mismo sa alveoli. Fibrosis, there's a lot of fibrous tissue that prevents the lungs from expanding. Myasthenia gravis, hindi mo makontrol yung diaphragm, hindi makapag-expand. And obesity, hinaharang ng space, ng visceral fat, yung pag-expand ng lungs mo. So hanggang dyan muna tayo since we have 5 minutes remaining. Lipat na lang tayo sa next meeting. Any questions muna, guys? Is everything clear? May gusto ba kayong balikan within 5 minutes? Okay ba? Feedback, guys? Gets ba?
Mas
Wait for
marami po kaming
question.
natutunan dito.
True. Ano?
True.
Okay. Sapay. Sige.
Question lang, yung sa ano, yung sa formula kanina. Sorry, nawala ako doon.
Saang ano?
Saan ulit ko, nasa table ba yun dun sa handout? Yung values, yung sa ano, for the CaO2. Wait lang.
CaO2. Hala,
Oh,
nawala.
yung
Dililit
kanina.
ko na pala. So, CaO2
Ayan,
is
yan,
in
yung
the
first.
first lecture ni Dr. Trinidad. Recipe
Yung
1.
values for that, kasi di ba may binigay kang formula?
Nandito,
Yung
nandito,
values
nandito,
for,
nandito, nandito. So,
okay.
ang PaCO2, ito, nandito. Ang saturation is nandito. PaO2, nandito din.
Okay, so substitute. Okay, sige. Thank you.
Substitute lang siya. Mm. Then cardiac output nandito rin for the delivery. Yes. So again here, I think master nyo na to. Pag right shift, decrease affinity of hemoglobin. So bibigay ko left shift, increase affinity of hemoglobin. Ayaw niyang pakawalan. Okay? Tapos dito, kapag shift to the right, di ba sa enzyme, kapag shift to the right, kailangan ko ng more enzyme to overcome my competitive inhibitor. Pag right shift. Di ba? Dito, sa physio, kailangan ko ng more pressure. Okay? To overcome the elastic resistance ng lungs. Kailangan ko ng mas mataas na pressure to fill my lungs with the exact same volume. Tapos kapag naman left shift, edi kailangan ko ng konting pressure para ma-expand, like an emphysema. Kasi kung ito yung normal, drawing ko ulit para klarong-klaro. Kung ito yung normal, yan, mga grape, para sa grapes yung alveoli ko. Kung ganyan yung normal ano ko, lungs ko, sa emphysema nagiging ganyan siya. Okay? So nawawala yung fibrous tissue. Kung nawawala yung fibrous tissue, expand lang yan ng expand, hindi yan babalik pa ganun. Okay, so sobrang dali mong i-expand pero hirap kang i-expel. Kaya baka nagtataka kayo, bakit obstructive yung emphysema? Wala namang obstruction. The problem here is hindi ko siya ma-exhale kasi wala ako nung para siyang isang rubber band na sobrang daming beses mo na ginamit, hindi na siya bumabalik sa normal position niya. Parang sobrang basta hindi na siya bumabalik sa ano niyan, original shape niya kasi sobrang daming beses mo na siyang ginanon-ganon. Okay, hindi na siya bumabalik sa original position niya. Hindi mo na so hindi na rin bumabalik yung lang sa original size niya. Hindi mo ma-expel yung air, kaya obstructive pa rin siya kahit walang physical obstruction. Okay? Okay na? So proceed tayo sa numbers 5, 5, 6, and yung work of breathing sa next Zoom meeting. Okay ba? Okay, so for this one, sabi natin merong pleural effusion si JD. So kung may pleural effusion si JD, anong ini-expect nating FEV1 over FVC ratio? Restrictive yon, di ba? So we are expecting a
Normal or high?
normal or high. Di ba? Kasi wala namang problema sa kanyang exhalation, may problema sa inhalation niya, which means dapat mababa yung kanyang FVC. So let's see. So letter A. So letter A, FEV1 niya is bagong mag-administer ng, dito na lang tayo mag-focus sa pre, wag na tayo after bronchodilator. So dito tayo sa pre. So here we have 1.54 FEV1, FVC 2.34, FEV1 over FVC ratio is 66.1. Ang predicted value for a normal person is 84. So this is low. So ano to? Obstructive or restrictive? Okay,
Obstructive.
this is obstructive. And nakikita nyo, tingnan nyo. Yung normal na FEV1 dapat 2.5, kanya 1.5 lang. Ibig sabihin, ano ibig sabihin nun? May problem siya expelling the air, which means may obstruction. Okay? This one, this one, FEV1 niya is 2.88, FVC niya 3.14, FEV1 over FVC ratio niya is, saan yung prediction dito?
Nasa kabila. Right side. Ito. Ay, percent prediction pala
Percent
siya.
prediction. Oo nga, no? Baka ito rin. Baka ito rin. Ito. Yan.
Okay.
Sige. So, ito, 91.7. So, ano to? 91.7, pero ang predicted is 84. So, ano to? High FEV1 over FVC ratio. This must mean restrictive. Okay, so kung restrictive to, dapat mababa yung kanyang, ano? Dapat mababa yung kanyang FVC. Tama ba? Oo nga, kasi ang lower limit of normal, ang lower limit of normal is 3.21, tapos kanya 3.14 lang. So nasa low side nga yung kanyang FVC. Ibig sabihin, hirap siyang mag-inhale. Okay, kaya restrictive kasi nga may pleural effusion siya. 'Di ba? Yung kanya namang FEV1 medyo nasa low side din, pero within the range pa rin naman ng normal. So, bale parang naging normal over low. So, naging medyo high yung kanyang FEV1 over FVC ratio. So, I think letter B ang sagot. Tama ba? Restrictive pleural effusion ni JD. Okay? Sige. Okay, this one. Diniscuss ni pangalan, Doktora Sibulo kahapon, the VQ relationship. Kanina, we've all been discussing how air gets into the lungs, how air is transported. So now, dadagdagan na natin ngayon, bukod sa inaaral natin yung air, kung paano pumapasok, paano natatransport, dadagdagan na natin ngayon ng blood flow or ang tinatawag nating perfusion. So this is ventilation, the air, and this is perfusion, the blood. That's VQ, ventilation, perfusion. Okay? So, ang gusto natin, syempre, yung oxygen na pumapasok pag nag-inhale tayo is pumunta sa blood that goes through our lungs. Para pag bumalik siya ng heart at papump sa ibang parts ng body, mayroong tamang oxygen content, diba? At magamit ng ating cells. Kapag nagkaroon ka ng problem, oops, wait lang, yung recording kanina, ay, tapos na mag-process. Okay. Kung may problem tayo, nasa na ako? Kung may problem tayo with my ventilation, hindi wala akong oxygen, that's a problem. Pero kung may problem din ako with my perfusion, meron ko nga ang oxygen sa lung, pero wala namang dumadaloy na dugo doon, there will also be a problem. Hindi ma-oxygenate yung blood, so useless din yung air na nasa lungs natin. Kasi kaya nga tayo may respiratory and cardiovascular system, we need something to bring the air into our lungs and to transport it to all parts of the body. That's why respiratory and circulatory system, two most important systems sa ating body. Okay, so kailangan match yung ating ventilation and perfusion. Otherwise, we will have a problem. So, let me ask you a question. If this is the lungs, okay, this is the apex and this is the base, okay, sa tingin nyo, saan ang may pinakamataas na ventilation? Ventilation is highest where? considering the effects of gravity, okay, ventilation would still be highest at the base. Bukod sa gravity, di ba sabi ni Dr. King, yung mga alveoli ko dito sa base ko ay maliliit. Ibig sabihin, I can still have high ventilation to expand them. Meanwhile, yung mga alveoli ko sa apex, di ba ang lalaki na daw nila? So, hindi ko na silang ma-expand, konting ventilation lang yun nandyan. So, two reasons bakit ventilation is highest at the base, gravity, and because mas distensible yung aking alveoli sa aking base. Imagine nyo lang, di ba, pag plastic, kasi sabihin nyo, table. Yan, table. Naglagay kayong plastic. Di ba? Yung, yung upper part ng plastic, sobrang distended niya. 'Di ba? Pero yung lower part ng plastic, hindi siya ganun ka-distended itong part na to kasi may table na diyan preventing it to distend, 'di ba? Eh pagdating sa ating lungs, ano yung table that prevents it to distend? Itong diaphragm dito, 'di ba? Okay. So malalaki yung mga ano dito, mas malaki yung alveoli dito sa apex, mas maliliit yung alveoli ko dito sa aking base. So mas distensible siya, higher ventilation and because of gravity. Okay. That's very important. Tandaan nyo, ventilation is highest at the base. Oops, nawala yung lung ko. Okay. How about perfusion? Saan highest ang aking perfusion? Apex or sa base? O hindi na hangin yung pinapag-usapan natin dito, dugo na, tubig. O, mas maapektuhan yun ng gravity. So definitely, my perfusion would still be highest at the base. That's right. Okay. So, tanong ko sa inyo ngayon, parehas highest si ventilation and perfusion sa base. Sino sa kanilang dalawa ngayon, sa tingin nyo, ang mas mataas ang effect ng gravity? Both of them are high at the base. Okay, both ventilation and perfusion are high at the base. Pero ano yung mas naapektuhan ng gravity? I think sinabi ko na pala kanina, your perfusion, okay? Your perfusion would be most affected by gravitational forces. Meaning, sabihin natin, ito yung ventilation ko, ito yung perfusion ko. Meaning, kung ito yung apex ko, ito yung base ko, yes, sa base pinakamataas ang ventilation. So sabihin natin, sa apex, ano lang, mag-invento lang ako ng values para ma-illustrate. Sabihin natin ventilation ko sa apex 1, sa gitna ng lungs ko 2, sa base ko 3 ang ventilation ko. Okay, sa base ko pa rin ang pinakamataas na ventilation. Wala tayong problema doon, gravity and more distensible alveoli. Pero sabi natin, my perfusion is also highest at the base, pero it's much more affected by gravity. Kasi liquid yun. Hindi naman hangin yun. Diba? So liquid. So yung dugo ko talagang babagsak yan sa base ng aking lung. Tama? So, pinakamataas pa rin siya sa base, but the rate of the increase in my perfusion is different. I'll give you an example. Sabi natin, sa apex, okay, ventilation ko is 1, perfusion ko rin is 1. Let's say, sa middle part ng aking lung, ventilation ko 2, yes, nag-increase siya. But the rate of my increase sa aking perfusion is higher. Sabi natin, naging 4. O, plus 3. And then, sa base ko ngayon, naging 3 na yung ventilation ko. Yes, na-mass siya. Pero yung perfusion ko, sabi natin, mas mataas ang rate ng pag-akyat niya. Sabihin natin, naging 8 to. May nangyari ngayon. Yes, both of them, both ventilation and perfusion are highest at the base. But my perfusion, my Q, is most affected. From 1, naging 4, naging 8. Kasi tubig yan, liquid yan. Talagang babagsak yan ng lungs. Okay? So ngayon, tingnan nyo ngayon yung nangyari sa aking ventilation perfusion ratio. Sabi natin kailangan optimal yan. Otherwise, hindi proper yung magiging delivery ng oxygen sa ating tissues. We need to have optimal ventilation and perfusion. Sa apex, that's 1/1. Ventilation over perfusion, that's 1. Sa intermediate part of my lungs, that's 2/4. That's 0.5 ventilation perfusion ratio. Pero pagdating sa aking base, 3/8, that's 0.375. Ano mapapansin nyo sa VQ ratio as I go from my apex to my base? Saan pinakamataas ang ventilation perfusion ratio? It's at my apex. Okay? And the lowest ventilation perfusion ratio would be at my base. Okay? Ngayon, probably nakikita nyo sa diniscuss kahapon and sa mga books that the optimal ventilation perfusion ratio daw is 0.8. Hindi ibig sabihin niya na 0.8 siya all throughout the lung, kinuha lang yung average. Okay? Ulit, yung 0.8 na sinasabi sa books and sa lecture kahapon, para lang madali tayong, kasi syempre yung hirap naman mag-calculate, lagi nating take into account, nasa apex ba, nasa base ba tayo? In-average na lang yung buong lung, ang optimal, sinabing average is 0.8. So magic value natin, ventilation, perfusion is 0.8. Okay? Okay, so now we know this is what happens in a normal upright lung. Ano na ngayon yung mga nangyayari kapag we have issues? Okay? So, kuha nga tayo ng mas malaking. Yan. Okay. So, we started from normal. So, walang problema yung ventilation perfusion ko. Okay? Tapos, pwede tayong magkaroon ng low VQ ratio. So, pwede tayong magkaroon ng zero VQ ratio. Pwede rin ako magkaroon ng high VQ ratio. And pwede rin ako magkaroon ng infinity na VQ ratio. Sabihin natin, start muna tayo sa zero. Pag sinabi kong my VQ ratio is zero, ano ibig sabihin yan? Ibig sabihin, paano magiging zero ang isang fraction, guys? Tama? Paano magiging zero ang isang fraction? Kapag zero yung numerator ko, di ba? Ibig sabihin, total obstruction ng aking airway. Tama? No ventilation. Ibig sabihin, kung zero yung VQ ratio ko, ibig sabihin, zero tong ventilation ko. Ibig sabihin, kung ito yung airway ko, ito yung blood ko, pwedeng may malaki kang nakaing may malaki kang nakain tapos nabuto, total obstruction of my airway, I have zero ventilation. No matter how high my perfusion is, sabihin natin, 5 liters per minute. 0/5 is still zero. Diba? Ibig sabihin, my ventilation perfusion ratio is zero. If my problem is in the ventilation side, there's zero ventilation, there's total obstruction. Examples is yung, ayan, choking, and ano pa? Alam niyo yung term na atelectasis. Atelectasis means collapse of the airway. Ano mangyayari kapag nag-collapse yung airway? Pag nag-collapse yung airway ko, hindi na rin siya efficient for gas exchange. Hindi ko na siya magagamit. Paano ba mag-drawing ng collapse? O basta parang lumiit siya na ganyan. Hindi ko na siya magagamit for gas exchange. Okay? So, zero din yung magiging ventilation ko. Okay? So, paano ngayon kapag low? Teka, hindi ko alam kung saan nilalagay ito. Ano ko? Yan. So, paano ngayon kapag low ang aking VQ ratio? Kapag low ang aking VQ ratio, ibig sabihin, mababa din yung aking ventilation. Pero hindi nag-zero. Mababa yung ventilation ko. Okay? Pero hindi nag-zero. So, pwedeng meron kang, yan, tapos partial obstruction lang. So yes, hindi nag-zero yung ventilation ko. Okay, kasi may dumadaan pa rin namang air dito, pero mababa. Okay, so partial obstruction. What else? Ano yung sinasabi nating hirap sa pag-inhale kanina? Mga restrictive diseases. Pwede sabihin nating fibrosis. So sa restrictive diseases, hirap tayo mag-inhale. So hirap din tayo makakuha ng ventilation. Therefore, my ventilation perfusion ratio would be low. So again, dito sa dalawang to, ang problem ko is with my ventilation. Okay? Dito, pag nag-zero, ibig sabihin, zero yung ventilation ko, totally walang air na pumapasok. Dito, sa low, okay, low ang ventilation ko, meron pa rin air na pumapasok, reduced lang nga. So, reduced ang ventilation ko with normal perfusion. Okay? So, in both of these cases, okay, hindi tugma yung ventilation perfusion ratio ko, the patient will desaturate. Okay, magde-desat ng patient. Okay, and we don't want that. We want our patient to have optimal oxygen saturation lagi. Paano na naman ngayon kapag high and infinity? Kung kanina, both of these situations show a problem with my ventilation, these two problems show a problem with my perfusion. So, kapag high ang aking ventilation perfusion ratio, that must mean, so normal yung ventilation ko, pero ang perfusion ko would be, kung high yung ratio, di ba syempre, nasa denominator siya, dapat low to. Tama? So big sabihin, meron akong, yan, so normal ventilation ko, walang problema sa aking airway. The problem lies with my blood vessel. Okay, probably there's an obstruction here. may, may obstruction sa blood vessel naman ngayon. Hindi makadalo yung dugo. I have low perfusion. Therefore, I will have high ventilation perfusion ratio. Or, pwede ring low talaga. Walang obstruction pero low talaga yung blood flow na dumadaloy dito. Example, bleeding. Di ba kapag nagbe-bleed out ka, nagiging konti yung, ano mo, yung blood volume mo, cardiac output mo. Low lang din yung blood na napupunta sa lungs, low yung perfusion mo, therefore, my ventilation perfusion ratio would be high. Hypotension as well. Diba? Same thing. Okay? Paano naman ngayon kapag infinity? Ano ibig sabihin ng infinity? Diba guys? Anything you divide by 0, 1 over 0, is technically undefined. Pero kung iisipin nyo, parang infinite, di ba? Divide mo yung 1 by 0, parang basta infinite, di ba? Sa math, di ba? 1 over 0, infinite. So, ibig sabihin, wala problema again with my ventilation, pero my perfusion now becomes 0. So this would lead to an infinite ventilation perfusion ratio. So again, walang problema sa ventilation ko. Pero sa perfusion ko, naging 0. Ibig sabihin, blocked off. Okay, walang dumadaloy na dugo, ibig sabihin, probably blocked off, and this happens during embolism. Diba? Embolism is a blood clot, okay, that blocks a part of your arteries. So your vessels in the lungs. So kung meron kang blood clot that blocks your blood vessels going to your lungs, edi walang perfusion, therefore you will have an infinite ventilation perfusion ratio. So kahit gaano kaganda yung ventilation mo, inhale ka ng inhale, sobrang dami mo ang air, may oxygen yung alveoli mo, hindi naman nakakapunta yung dugo, hindi naman nakakapunta yung oxygen sa dugo mo kasi wala kang perfusion. Okay? So, anong mangyayari ngayon? Okay? Let's say, dito muna tayo sa 0. Anong mangyayari ngayon sa partial pressure ng oxygen and carbon dioxide ko dito? Sa tingin nyo? Kung walang nakakapasok na oxygen, then my oxygen will be low. My partial pressure of oxygen here will be low. Meanwhile, since yung carbon dioxide ko ay galing sa bloodstream ko, syempre metabolite natin yan, gusto i-exhale, kaso hindi siya makalabas, therefore in my alveoli, this would be high. Baliktad naman kapag dito sa infinity. May oxygen, since pasok lang siya ng pasok at hindi siya makadiffuse toward my bloodstream, my oxygen here would be high sa alveoli. Meanwhile, my carbon dioxide here would be low kasi walang blood flow, wala ring magbibigay ng carbon dioxide sa aking alveoli. Okay? So that's the 5 types of VQ relationship. We have normal. We have problems with ventilation, that's either low or 0 kapag total 0 yung ventilation. It can be problems with my perfusion, with my blood flow. Kapag mababa ang perfusion ko, that would lead to high VQ ratio. And kapag total obstruction of my vessel, total 0 ang perfusion ko, that would lead to an infinity VQ ratio. Okay ba? Clear ba lahat? Guys.
Mas malinaw pa po sa salamin. Safe.
Okay. Sige. Malinaw pa sa pangarap ko sa buhay. Okay. Okay, last. Paano pag meron akong ventilation perfusion ratio na 1, ang ventilation ko, perfusion ko is 1.25. So, this is a ventilation, this is perfusion. Tapos, this is in the left lung. In my right lung, nagkaroon ako ngayon ng 3 na ventilation sa right lung ko. Tapos ang perfusion ko sa kabilang lung ko is 3.75. Unequal yung ventilation ng dalawa kong lungs. Unequal din yung perfusion ng dalawa kong lungs. Question. Ay, wag Q. Nandito kayo. Question. Would my patient desaturate? Yes or no? Would my patient desaturate? So, compute ko na sa inyo yung ventilation perfusion ratio. This is 0.8. This is 0.8. Unequal yung ventilation ko sa left and right lang. Unequal din yung perfusion ko sa left and right lang. But my ventilation perfusion ratio is 0.8 for both my left and right lung. Would my patient desaturate? Answer, no. My patient would not desaturate in this situation. Kahit unequal ang ventilation ko, kahit unequal ang perfusion ko, I am interested in my ventilation perfusion ratio. So sabihin nyo, bakit konti lang naman yung blood flow ko doon sa left lung ko? Konti lang din naman yung air na pupasok. Diba? So, tugma pa rin yung oxygen content. Paglabas niyan, pagpunta niya ng pulmonary vein, pabalik ng left ventricle, I would still have optimal oxygen saturation. My patient would not desaturate. Okay? Sige. Ano pa ba yung tanong? What is the VQ relationship in the right and the left lung? Okay. Anong lung yung may pleural effusion sa kanya? Right, di ba? Okay. So, pleural effusion may tubig daw dito, yung kabila wala. Okay. So, kung may pleural effusion siya, so hirap siya mag-ventilate. Tama? So, I would have low. Tama ba? Low VQ ratio. That's normal dito sa kabila. Wala namang problem. Wala namang problem sa perfusion niya, no? Okay. So, I would have low ventilation perfusion ratio in my right lung. What are the corresponding oxygen and carbon dioxide tension in the right and left lung? So, di ba sabi natin, pag normal, ang oxygen is, sa normal muna tayo doon sa left lung niya, ito yung right. Oxygen is ilan to dito? 104. Tapos ang CO2 is, oh my God, 45 ba o 40? 40 ano yata? 40 daw, 40. 40. Okay. Kaso sa right lang niya, low ang VQ ratio ko. So probably magiging low din ang aking oxygen. And since hindi rin makalabas yung carbon dioxide, it would be high here, tension. Okay? Next, letter D. What will happen to the VQ relationship in the patient's right and left lung if he lies on the right side? Is this good or bad for the patient? Hmm. Di ba right lang yung may problem niya? Right lang yung may problem niya. Ibig sabihin, pwede nating isipin, di ba, na kapag you put him on his right side, di ba, di ba, pag nilagay niyo siya on his right side, tapos andito yung bad lang niya sa ilalim, di ba, yun yung hirap sa ventilation, pwede nating isipin na mas ma-oxygenate yun. Kasi kapag nilagay natin yung right lang niya sa baba, di ba sabi natin, yung nasa base lagi, mas mataas ang ventilation. So, mas mabe-ventilate, di ba? Unfortunately, hindi naman yun yung problem natin. Ang problem natin, meron tayong pleural effusion which actually compresses which compresses yung ating lungs, yung ating airways. So I think, kahit ilagay mo siya sa kanyang right side, yes, tataas yung ventilation, dadami yung hangin na papasok, pero hindi pa rin makakapag-expand ng maayos. Or hindi nga dadami yung oxygen na makakapasok kasi still there's a lot of pressure from this pleural effusion here. Kahit ilagay mo siya sa kanyang right side, okay? Kahit you used gravity already to put the right lung on the base para mataas ventilation, I think mahirapan pa rin. Kasi ang alam ko, ang dictum natin dito is good lung down. Tama ba sa ating mga nurses dito and sa ating respiratory therapist? I think good lung down ang motto, di ba? Di ba? Yan, good lung down. So, lagi, ang ginagawa natin is good lung down. So, ang good lung natin is the left. Therefore, dapat he will lie on his left side. Okay? So, lying down on the right side will be bad for the patient. Okay? Sige. For this one, I think this is the easiest naman. I think we can all understand, di ba? Siyempre, meron tayong chemoreceptors that sense kung mataas yung ating carbon dioxide tension, kung mababa yung oxygen tension natin. Siyempre, we want to maintain homeostasis. We always want to maintain normal ranges, di ba? So we have two chemoreceptors, central chemoreceptors and peripheral chemoreceptors. So madali siyang tandaan kasi central, letter C, ang sense niya is increased carbon dioxide tension. C, carbon dioxide central chemoreceptor. Yan lang. Your central chemoreceptor cannot sense low oxygen tension. Okay? Ang may kaya mag-sense ng lahat is your peripheral chemoreceptors. Okay? So itong central chemoreceptors, I think located in the medulla. Itong peripheral, I think located in the carotid and aortic bodies. Okay? So your peripheral chemoreceptors, yan, lahat kaya niya. So increased carbon dioxide tension, decreased oxygen tension, acidic, so decreased pH. So pag na-sense nila yon, syempre, sasabihin niya sa central pattern generator. Di ba, central pattern generator parang sa reflex, ay sa locomotion, sa walking, di ba? Hindi natin siya iniisip kasi may pattern na, rhythmic na siya. Naglalakad tayo, hindi naman natin iniisip. Pag humihinga rin tayo, hindi rin natin iniisip. Diba? Kasi may rhythm yung paghinga natin. Inhale, exhale. Yan yung pattern generation. Okay? Sabihin niya sa spinal cord, oh, ano, ang baba ng oxygen tension ng tao, ang taas ng carbon dioxide, kailangan mo yan, kailangan ka mag-inhale ng oxygen, kailangan mo i-exhale yung carbon dioxide. Sabihin mo yung mga muscles mo, yung diaphragm, scalene muscles, mag-increase ng ventilation. So, ang gagawin niya, yan, increase ventilation para bumaba na yung carbon dioxide tension, mag-increase na yung oxygen tension. 'Di ba? So, yun. So, kaya siya nagkaroon ng dyspnea. Oh, kayo na bahala dito. Basta yun yung explanation. Alam niyo naman na to, 'di ba? Yung how to interpret these uh, negative feedback regulation ng ating homeostasis. Okay? Basta pag mataas ang carbon dioxide, mababa oxygen, ayaw natin yun. We always want to increase ventilation. Okay? So last, balikan natin. Oh God, 10 minutes for this. Guys, this is physics kasi. 'Di ba? Work of breathing. 'Di ba? Work of breathing. So, ano yung kailangan mong trabaho na gawin para makahinga? So, bakit natin kailangan ng trabaho para makahinga? We have two components of work of breathing. We have what we call elastic, okay, elastic, and we have inelastic. And itong inelastic divided pa yan into viscous resistance and airway resistance. So from the name itself, elastic resistance, kanina pa natin sinasabi elastic, fibrous tissue, rubber band, gustong bumalik sa original position. Pag nag-inhale tayo, siyempre gustong-gusto ng lungs natin na bumalik sa kanyang original position because of the elastic tissue, because of the fibrous tissue. Gusto niyang mag-recoil, pabalik. Okay? So we have to overcome that force when we inhale. Okay? So this is 65% of the work of breathing. Kailangan natin overcome yan para lang tayo makahinga kasi gusto ng lungs na mag-collapse. Okay? Yan yung gusto niya, mag-collapse. Yung inelastic naman, syempre, 'di ba yung air natin dumadaan yan sa trachea, tapos sa bronchi, bronchioles, 'di ba? Syempre, may resistance yan. So as the air passes through these small conduits, these small channels, it experiences resistance. That's your airway resistance. That's part of inelastic. Okay? Yung viscous naman, let's say sa alveoli mo, ano ba? May pneumonia ka, o nagkaroon kang tubig dito, viscous resistance. So, mahirapan din. Kailangan mo mag-exert ng more work of breathing to overcome itong tubig dito, yung viscous resistance dyan, just to be able to breathe. To be able to expand this alveoli. Diba? So, this is, yung inelastic, that's just 35%. So, karamihan talaga ng ating work of breathing is elastic. Okay? Now, in these graphs, okay, hindi ko na siguro ma-explain kung bakit naging ganito yung mga shape nila. But I want you to know na this trapezoid right here, okay, that corresponds to your elastic work of breathing. Ulit, itong trapezoid na to, yan yung kailangan mong i-overcome, okay, as you are inhaling, okay, yung elastic fibrous resistance. Okay? Yan trapezoid na yan. This one, itong dagdag na curve dito outside of your trapezoid, that's your inelastic work of breathing kasi nga, di ba, pag nag-inhale tayo, yung air, papasok dito yung air, may airway resistance. Okay? So you add your elastic work of breathing, itong trapezoid, and your inelastic work of breathing, itong airway, that's for your inhalation. That's your total work of breathing. Yan, this entire thing here that is colored. Okay? Sige. Now, kung mapapansin nyo, yung work of breathing, kapag nag-exhale tayo, hindi siya, hindi siya like additional na parang inspiration na outside siya ng trapezoid. Itong work of breathing, kapag nag-exhale tayo, within the trapezoid siya. So, hindi na siya dadagdag sa work of breathing. Bakit? Pag nag-exhale tayo, we don't need to expel any energy. We don't need to do any work. Kasi nga, automatic nangyayari yan because of the elastic nature of our lungs na gusto niya mag-recoil. Okay? So pag na-exhale tayo, wala tayong gagawin. Diba? Bitawan lang natin yung natin pag-inhale natin. Makaka-exhale tayo, madali lang kasi nga gustong-gusto ng lungs mag-elastic recoil. So kaya hindi natin to dinadagdag sa total work of breathing. It's within your trapezoid. Hindi siya like nito na outside. Kasi nga, pag nag-exhale tayo, ano lang siya, elastic recoil na lang siya. Di ba? So, ano mangyayari ngayon kapag nagkaroon tayo ng right shift? O, di ba? Pag nag-right shift, ano nga sabi natin kapag right shift? Less compliant. Kapag less compliant, I need to exert more pressure. Ayan, tingnan nyo. Tingnan nyo yung comparison ng slopes nila. Ito ang slope ng inhalation nito pag ganyan, medyo steep pa. Itong letter B, tingnan nyo, medyo naging nag-right shift na siya. Ayan, nag-right shift, di ba? Ibig sabihin, you need to exert to inhale more. Di ba? Pag nag-inhale more tayo, mas nagiging negative yung pressure sa pleura and sa alveoli. So, you need to exert more inhalational pressure. Okay? Just to overcome yung ating restrictive lung diseases. Okay? So, again, right shift, less compliant, you need to exert more pressure, therefore you need to have a more negative intrapleural or intraalveolar pressure. Okay? Paano naman? So, ayun, may mnemonic tayo. Nag-right shift, restrictive. Tapos, ito, yung sinabi ni Dr. King, letter O, mukha siyang O for obstructive. Diba? So, kung papansin nyo, yes, hirap akong mag-inhale kasi may obstruction. Pero not as much as yung hirap ko mag-exhale. Ulitin natin. Iba natin yung kulay. Kulay blue. Yes, ayan o. Hirap akong mag-inhale, but not as much as yung hirap akong mag-exhale. Look at the amount of force and pressure I need to do. Ito yung exhalation na. Ito yung inhalation, ito yung exhalation. Look at how much extra force and pressure and work of breathing I need to do in obstructive diseases to be able to expel and exhale that air. Diba? So, sobrang daming nadagdag na work of breathing dito. Okay, so this is your restrictive, this is your obstructive. So sabi dyan, which among the three figures is most likely happening to the patient? Pleural effusion, so I think it's letter B. And assume that the patient has a tidal volume of 500 cc. Plot the elastic work of breathing in the figure before the development of pleural effusion. So before the development of pleural effusion, so normal pa lang siya. So dito gagamitin natin. So 500 cc is I think also equal to 500 ml if I'm not mistaken. So ito yan. So ang work of breathing niya, elastic lang. So elastic lang. Trapezoid lang yon. So it would be, ano ba yan? Green na nga lang gamitin ko. It would be this one. Tama? And then for with the pleural effusion, okay, with the pleural effusion, same pa rin, 500 cc, 500 ml, so hanggang dito. So elastic lang, so trapezoid lang kukunin natin. That would be this one. So before the development of pleural effusion is this, and with the pleural effusion, this. Saan mas malaki ang area? So mas malaking area, guys, ibig sabihin mas malaking work of breathing, more work needed. So that would be in letter B. That would be in restrictive kasi nga may pleural effusion siya. Mas more work needed to expand the lungs kasi may pleural effusion compressing the lungs. So you need to overcome that restriction. Okay? So that is very difficult to explain. I hope na-gets nyo. 1 minute. May questions pa ba?